Welcome back. It's August 30th, and we are now ready to look at the final practice questions for databases. We're going to complete this in Microsoft Access. Microsoft Access is part of Microsoft Office. If you do not have Office on your computer, what you can do is install OpenOffice on your computer, and the links for installing OpenOffice are right here, and the name of the application is called Base, and they're very similar. Okay, OpenOffice, the designers modeled it on Access. So the first thing we need to do is design the database. So let's go ahead and start Microsoft Access. Okay, we'll take a look at the question again. Okay, so in the question, we're designing what kind of database? We're designing a database of books and authors. Well, this database we're going to design is going to be different. It's going to be a database of our home, the different rooms, and the items we have in each room. Now, there are pre-existing databases here. They're already designed for us, and we can even search and find more database designs or templates. But I'm going to create this database right from the beginning. So let's go ahead and select a blank database. Okay, and it takes us right into what is referred to as datasheet view, where you can start entering that information. Now, I don't want to do that. I don't want to start, entering all the information about my date, about the furniture and the items and the rooms. I want to first design the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Table 1, okay, and I'm going to right-click, and instead of putting data in there, I want to go to what's called Design View. So the first thing it asks us to do is give it a name. So, well, these are the items in the home. Okay, so we'll go ahead and give the table the name items. Okay, and now we can say something about the columns or the fields. Well, we have a lot of things, a lot of information that we can save about the items in our home, like the item name. Okay, and well, how much did it cost? Okay, what room is that item in? So your television set might be in the living room, for example. The fridge would be in the kitchen. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. We have 3 fields. We created 3 fields: item name, cost, and room. Okay, and it turns out that we need one of these names here, or one of these columns, one of these fields, to uniquely identify the item. So can the item name uniquely identify it? Well, I have a chair in my bedroom, and I also have a chair in the living room. No, that doesn't uniquely identify the item. How about the cost? Well, certainly not the cost and not the room either. So if you think about it, you have all kinds of ID, and that ID might have information about you, like your address, your date of birth, but the thing that uniquely identifies you is the ID number. So items we have in our home have an ID number, and that ID number is called a serial number. So let's go ahead and enter serial number there. Okay, and I think I'm going to stop there. I think 4 columns is quite enough. Now, let's look at data type. A serial number is not a number, okay? And the reason why I say it's not a number, okay, because you don't do calculations with serial numbers. You don't add and subtract and divide with serial numbers. So we're just going to make it a short text data type. The item name, well, again, short text, and then the item cost. Well, that is a number, okay, so I can choose number or large number, which stores a much larger value. But if I look carefully, I'll see here there is a currency. Okay, so I'm going to select currency instead. Okay, how much did it cost? And finally the room, and I'm going to leave that as text. And for fun, let's go ahead and put one more field in there, the date purchased. And the reason why I'm adding another field there is so that we can see one additional data type. So date purchased, well, we're going to obviously make that a time, date, time data type. So enter the names of the fields, okay, and then what type of data it is, and which one is going to uniquely identify the item. And we saw that in this case, for items, that's going to be the serial number. Now you can see here the primary key is already set, but if you want to change that, you can just simply click on another field here, let's say this one right here, and you can set that as a primary field. Okay, so it's a good idea to design your table before you enter any data in there. As it turns out, serial number is the best primary key, so I'm going to return the primary key to serial number, and you can see there's a tiny little key there. Let's go ahead and enter a second table. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the Create menu. Okay, oops, we got to save this. Let's save our changes. So we're going to click the Close button on the tab. Okay, you just close it. It asks you, do you want to save? And I select yes. So that's the items table. We can double click on it. There it is, and I can begin entering the different items in my home. Now let's create a new table here, a second table. So I'm going to go to Create. And again, you can just click Table here and begin entering data, but it is better to go into Design View. Okay, so this is going to give us information about rooms. We have different rooms in our house, the kitchen, the bedroom. So we're going to have a field called room, and we're going to maybe have a size in square feet, and so on. But we need something that uniquely identifies the room. The room name does not uniquely identify a room. You can have more than one bedroom in your home. So let's go ahead and create a unique identifier here. I'm just going to call it the room ID. Okay, let's go to data types. So room name, well, that's just text. Room size, that's a number, 400 square feet or 40 square meters, 20 square meters, whatever the case may be. Let's go ahead and choose number, or I think number is sufficient. So we'll just choose number for that. And I think that's about all the important stuff right there. Now, before we go any further here with this database, I want to come down here to the properties. So these are the properties of the room ID. These are the properties for the room name and so on. So you can define how many characters are in there. So if I put 100, okay, the longest room name can be 100 letters. And there's many other properties in there that we might take a look at in a future course. But I just wanted to point that out to you now. So I think that's about it for rooms. So let's go ahead and save that table. So we'll go ahead, click Close, and I'm going to select Save Yes. Okay, we need to give it a meaningful name. So this is information about rooms. So a good name for the table is rooms. And whoa, look at that. We did not set a primary key. Okay, so let's come back, and we have to think here. Now, the size obviously doesn't identify the room uniquely. The room name may be, well, if you only have one bedroom, then it uniquely identifies it. If you only have one bathroom, it uniquely identifies it. But if you recall, we created room ID specifically for that purpose. So we're going to make that the primary key. Let's think about data type for room ID. What is that room ID going to look like? Are you going to call it room 1, room 2? Are you going to put some random numbers in there? Whenever you're not sure how to create a primary key, okay, you just create an ID field, and then you go to the data type and you select auto number. Okay, so that's an automatically generated number for every room. So let's say kitchen is auto number 563, and then you add another room. Well, guess what? It cannot be the same number repeated. So let's do an auto number, and that is the quickest way to decide on your primary key. So just create an ID field and make it an auto number. Let's go ahead and set the primary key. There it is. And we are done. So we can now close it, save it. It's going to prompt us for the name. The name is room. We click OK, and we can even open up that table and begin entering data right away. So I wouldn't enter anything for room ID. That's auto-generated. I would enter the room name and the room size.